Okay, let the meeting, let's call the meeting to order. Let's have roll call
Agnes Vornarski, Chairman.
here.
Peter Hahn.
Here.
Dr. John Kamish.
Here.
Dana Seivertson.
Here.
Ed Madden is absent. And I'm Jill Moskow, Recording Secretary. A quorum is present.
And approval of minutes of regular meeting of May 11th.
I'm motion that we approve the minutes as so drawn.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Approved, minutes approved. Old business, update on workday schedules for the summer. So, right now we have a lot of plants. Mike,
Got it, thank you.
this is future workday schedules, correct? Or past?
Yeah, for the summer, unless you wanted to talk about the past one, I guess.
Well, this past Sunday, we had a nice work day. We didn't have a lot of volunteers, but there was a lot of graduations going on and a lot of activities. Maybe that's one of the reasons. We have had volunteers come out on extra work days, like on Wednesdays when we have Poplar Creek come out. So that sort of made up for that. But we put bonnets on all of the, not all, less than 50% of the geraniums, because the geraniums, when they go to seed, they sort of just pop open. So you walk up to them, and the seed is almost ready, and then it's almost ready, and then you get to it, and it's gone. So we put little bonnets that allow air and sun through, so we could collect those really early, nice spring plants. We could propagate them and then introduce them to Morava and other places. The next work days we will probably be spending at Morava, but we have plants coming in this week from Taylor Creek. We have plugs of plants for Morava and for Heron Pond, so I think that the next Sunday workday will be at Morava. And possibly the next one after that. We'll see how it goes with the season. Any comments, suggestions?
No, I'm good.
No.
Okay. Next is a special workday with Poplar Creek Prairie Stewards. So they came out a second time. The first time we had 19 volunteers. There was 13 of them and 6 of us. And this time, I think there was just about as many people coming to help plant and transplant. It was on a Wednesday when I had off in the morning. And we had a really good time, and they planted just thousands of plants. I don't even have the number of how many thousands, but it was great. They had such a good time that they asked if we would invite them back for more.
That's great.
So, yeah. Which I'm happy to do that. Any comments?
No, they're a good group to work with.
Yeah.
And I particularly like, because I was with Poplar Creek Prairie Stewards back in the 90s, and just hearing them talking about the site. I remember when it was bare bones, and we were encountering many things that we're doing right now, and they're just talking about flourishing fields, so
Yeah.
something to look forward to.
Right. It's very nice because we take a walk afterwards for the last hour, right before lunch, and I've provided lunch for everybody, but we take a walk around the slough, and it's really nice to share with like-minded people and share about the progress and what's going on and suggestions. So, very nice.
Okay, Community Day was held this past Saturday. We were present with our table next to the service dogs, which attracted a lot of attention. I would say the majority of attendees were parents with children, but we did have movement, traffic at our table, and did receive a few compliments from residents thanking us for our work and interest in our work. 2 people who stopped by did ask to sign up for the journal. Each person that came, we had a brochure printed, and I made sure to note our website and the Nature Speaks program and presentations that are posted on our website, so if people can't make the meetings or the Nature Speaks, they could see what the information is all about. We did give away some prairie plants, which was an attraction to both men and women, especially some of the trees that Peter transplanted for us. All in all, I think it was a good day and a good event to participate in as a group.
I think you need to be commended also for taking charge of that. It was awesome.
Oh,
There was no way I could stay. She couldn't stay, and no one else was available.
it was fine. It's the least I could
Really
do.
appreciate it, and thanks to your sister as well.
Oh, thank you. I'll tell her.
The signage update, I'll cover that. Last we spoke, we had some examples of trail markers, the permanent signage for our projects, including the volunteer information and the ordinance listed. And then we had some additional work signs, which would have been the no mows, additional herbicide signs, and additional burn signs. To date, we have got all of the temporary work signs. We ordered those, Peter ordered those. They went through on our budget, I believe, right?
The yellow.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, 21 signs or whatever it was.
Correct. As an interim step then, the city and the Park District, I guess, working together, came up with these temporary signs that are talking about this is a restoration in progress, and that there are ordinances in effect, and that the ordinances are enforceable in the areas where the project is Park District. It carries the Park District logo. Where they are on city property, they carry the city logo. And that in conjunction with the flagging that we did to reestablish where the prairie is supposed to be, and then the addition of the no mow signs in those areas has completely stopped all the vandalism has stopped. And so that's the great news. We seem to be finally have got the message across, so that's good. And I think we just leave it at that point, leave it there until the more permanent signs about the ordinance and the volunteering and all that are ready to go in place. We also reached out to Sarah Race at Commonwealth Edison, and they are going to be installing their ComEd naturalizing signs at the Cedar Prairie and at the slough in selected locations. Those are going to happen sometime in the very near future, and they're just going to come out and do it. We went out and marked all the locations with site maps and flags, so that's poised to actually happen. So great deal of thanks to Christina, because I know she spent a lot of time on this, and to Peter. You guys are the best, and it's really made a difference, so thank you, thank you, thank you.
I really like how the signs say that it's a multi-year project, and so that's good.
Yeah, good choice of words, sir.
Yeah, very nice signs.
Nature Speaks. We've got, the great news is we're booked for a full year in advance now, which is crazy. We just recently landed Gerald Wilhelm, and he is the author of Flora of the Chicagoland region. He
The
just
new version.
just came out with his new version, which is like this thick, and it weighs about 20 pounds.
It's the Bible of botany in Chicago.
It was 17 years in the making from the rewrite of when the first one was released. We had a great conversation with him when we went to pick up the books at, where was that?
Crabtree Nature Center.
Crabtree Nature Center. He was interested. He has a rep that handles all this business, and so we reached out to him, and were completely blown away when they came back and said they would absolutely do that. They thought, because we forwarded them our website, all the tutorials, I mean not tutorials, but journals and all the rest of that stuff, and they actually read it, and they were impressed, and they said they would be glad to help out and do that. So.
But they had a rate that was
Yeah.
astronomical, and
Yeah, so they've made concessions there, and so they're really, really something that they want to do. So that's really terrific.
and Stephen Packard will be one of our speakers too.
Right,
which
so
is awesome.
we're now currently booked. The website will be finally updated now, probably this weekend with all the speakers. So the next speaker is Abigail Darby Lewis talking about climate change, and then from there we go to Rachel Goad, who is going to be talking about citizen science. And from there it goes to Stephen Packard, and then Allison Sacerdote-Villette, and then Jerry Wilhelm in summer of 2018. So it's becoming a destination, which is really cool. Great. Okay, that's it.
That's fantastic. Nice
Mhm.
networking to set all that up.
Say.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and I really think, once the speakers see what past speakers have been,
Yeah,
it
it helps. It all feeds
yes.
into, yeah.
Right, it all feeds, and then it becomes like, oh, really? He's speaking, or,
Okay,
That's
new
great.
business.
New business, summer interns. I'm so pleased with Jeremy, our first summer intern. He's so hardworking. He's really very smart. We always spend an hour to an hour and a half in the morning doing like educational things, plant families. We go around botanizing. He's learned so many plants, and he studies at home too. So he does his flashcards, and he comes back. And when we did the tour with Poplar Creek, I would ask him questions on the spot. Probably shouldn't have done that, but I did, and he knew all the answers. I was like, what? Golden Alexander's APACE, So he's a very, very smart young man. He's very hardworking, and I'm really looking forward to meeting Aaron on Monday.
Yeah, Aaron starts on Monday, so Christina, do you know if he's followed up with the Park District on all of that? Partially, right, I'll reach
He
out.
hasn't really been in town yet to do
Right.
anything he needs to do,
Okay.
but we'll get it done.
All right, good. And again, another smart guy. He has tons of experience doing this kind of work. He has his herbicide license, so it's really a marriage made in heaven.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're getting a lot of work done.
Tons
A lot of work done. Mm-hmm.
The Marava Nature Center Eagle Scout project, you guys recall last time we had the meeting at Chipman, and it was sort of to tell them that we were not going to be able to afford to do any of those bridges, and we talked to them at that time about a suspension bridge and whether or not they would be interested in helping us move forward with that, if that was something that they could do, if they had the time, if they had the interest. Their response back to us was, go back to the Park District and make sure that they would approve that before we, spend any more time on it. So Christina and I spoke today, and we have, as long as, my understanding is, as long as the architect and the engineer sign off on it, we're good to go. Okay, so I will pick that back up and start pursuing that.
Is that from Chipman, the architect and the engineer?
Yes, that's what she's saying. Or if we find another one, right?
The insurance company needs to be approval of an architect and an engineer.
Okay.
That's where.
So we will try to schedule some more appointments with Chipman. I'll reach out to Sam tonight and talk to him, and he's the one who sets all that up with them, so.
So is there a budget for the suspension bridge then? Is that what we're saying?
Well, the suspension bridge, depending on how we do it, there's all kinds of information about it online, and you can see all kinds of estimates from $500 to $2,400 to $5,000, depending on what they're doing. But you've got guys out there build suspension bridges that are 54 feet long for $500. So
Yeah.
it just depends. There's a critical piece of input that has to come back from the engineer about on the low side of the creek, how far those posts need to be set down. Because basically it's 4 posts and then cables,
Yeah.
and then everything attaches to the cables. And it turns out it's actually a project that the scouts could really do, given the supervision. So, it could certainly be done in our budget. And our budget is what, like $2,400 or something?
No, it was more than that. It was, I think, almost, $3,400.
$3,400.
But it could be a little bit more, especially since we're growing so many of the plants ourselves. And so, whatever's, we can try to hold off on anything else for now until this bridge is set, in case it does come out to $8,000 or $10,000. And then the rest will go on everything else that we said, I guess,
So the next step is going back to Chipman and finding out if they're still willing to pursue that with us. So.
One other thing I just wanted to say about the Marava Nature Center is today I received an email from ComEd, and they they want to come out and photograph and do a site visit for past grant recipients. So that would mean both of our grant projects, or all three of our grant projects, and so they'll be contacting us about that. That's a new initiative from them to come out and,
That's very cool.
yeah, celebrate the projects,
Yeah, great.
so. As soon as I know more, I'll let you all know
Thank you.
when and what.
Okay, the block party. First of all, how many?
The block party,
And then next? Oh, I'm sorry, the kids care, go ahead.
the kids' work days. So we had MacArthur students, sixth graders, come out this Wednesday, and it was really great. I had no idea they were so fast and so efficient. I had 700 plants for them to plant, and we were done in 10 minutes. So, I don't know.
It was remarkable.
It was very nice, and they're great kids. So we had a little educational component in the beginning, and then they planted all the plants, and then we walked around, and they pulled some ragweed, and basically the whole time, I just led them around the slough and talked about things and answered their questions, and they were really interested. It was great because these kids got to pick where they wanted to go for their what's it called?
Community service.
It's a
day.
community service day, basically. So these 28 children, out of 7 or 10 different areas, they chose to come to the slough and plant, and so they were really interested. A lot of these kids had great interest in plants and nature. It was really nice to talk with them, to connect with them. A lot of them wanted to, kept asking, can we come back? Do we have to, can we volunteer somehow? So it was really nice. It was a very nice event.
Well,
Just
that one
great.
girl, just before she got on the bus, she says, I will be here over the summer. She wanted you to remember her.
I know, they were so sweet. It's such a great age.
Yeah.
It was so enjoyable. I had a great time.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Peter, we do have a lot of great photos for that, too.
Mhm.
We'll pass those on to you.
Given the captured by someone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was actually really amazing to see 28 kids stretched out in the trail that goes through the slough. It was just, it was really nice,
Yeah.
really a great experience.
Yeah, and they listened, and they learned a lot too. And sometimes you think they're not listening. And I even I pointed out a plant, and I pointed out what characteristics make it in the carrot family. And then the next plant we walked up to, I say, does anybody know what family that is? And they said, carrot,
Yeah.
because they remembered that
Yeah.
it has umbels. It was kind of nice. But other things we talked about too, the history of the slough. We talked about erosion. We talked about just, my gosh, so many things. Any questions they had too. So it was very enjoyable.
And when they saw the brochure, and we had a picture of the prescribed burn, of course, the boys say, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, it was very sweet.
Well, it's great that we can touch the younger people in the community.
Yeah,
Learning that at an early age, I think, is very valuable.
yes.
Yeah.
And being connected
Yeah.
to the areas,
And
definitely.
with these kids, I mean, the interest was really sincere. And
Mhm.
and they did want to know, and they were really interested, and they will, some of them will actually come
Mhm.
back and start volunteering, so it's really
And they were
cool.
paying
Yep.
attention. It was just great. It was
Yeah.
very nice.
You want to talk about the
I would
kids'
love to
care?
do that. Okay, yes, so the next event is with children and their families, is the Prospect Heights Kids Care Organization. And that's the day after the block party, which is Sunday, June 25th. I'm not sure exactly how many kids. I haven't gotten a response yet. But we'll be planting at Morava. They are going to have lunch between 12 and 1, and then they plan on spending an hour planting. And then the educational component will be during lunch.
I'm sorry, when is that?
It's the
It's a
25th.
Sunday, the Sunday after after the block party.
I believe they're going to start by cleaning up at the block party? No.
No,
Right.
it'll be all cleaned up by then. Yeah. So they're going to have lunch, and we're going to talk about everything, and we're going to have an educational component while everybody eats, and
So what would you say the hours are for that?
12 to 2.
I didn't know that. Thank you.
Yes, that was in an email, back and forth email. 12 to 2 p.m.
They won't be planting in the creek, will they?
No, so the area where we planted the grasses, right along there, and then last year we extended that area up, and we herbicided the turf lawn.
Right, okay.
So that whole area over there, depending, if they're as quick as the sixth graders, we'll have to bring plenty of plants. but whatever they can do, and then we'll do the rest in a workday. And, you know, I don't know if you, but I was planning, if you want to have any input, but I was planning on shorter grasses there, because it's sort of it's a view of the rest of the area, so, and it's very dry on that slope. So I was thinking things like prairie dropseed that tolerates dry conditions, but is very short and showy and nice. And then things that are very pretty, like the purple prairie clovers and all of those butterfly weeds in between. Prairie coreopsis, the short version. So all these really nice short prairie plants, short grasses to have a nice, to see the rest of the site as you're walking along there. And they're growing. They'll be just right by June 25th, hopefully. Any comments, suggestions about how to do the
No,
educational component?
I mean, you know, if you did nothing more than what you did with the kids from MacArthur, that's perfect. So,
Okay.
Do we want to have plants available for the kids to maybe take home since they know how to plant?
Oh,
one,
not a bad
plant
idea.
one at home?
By that time, we'll have plenty of plants.
Spread it out to the neighborhood.
That's right. Okay. And I'll find out how many exactly, but from the emails, I understand that they're also coming with their parents or families, so.
Mhm.
So that's that.
okay, now we talk about the block party. First of all, how many people are actually going to be able to make the block party for either the whole day, part of the day?
I'll help with setup, and I will be there either until like 6 PM or something like that, or come back and do the evening. Either one.
Okay.
What are the hours of the block party?
3 to 10:30.
3 to 10:30. I should be able to make part of that.
Okay.
Like you said, it's a heavy graduation
Mhm.
season right now.
Yeah.
Everybody's-
There's a lot going on right now. I understand. Kids are getting out of school, vacations, all these things, so,
Peter, are you working at night?
I should be able to come.
okay.
Yeah.
Good. And I'll,
Ed said he was going to be able to make it, so basically we're all there.
yeah, I had a lot of
We-
fun
the other-
last year, so
the other
I'm
thing
coming.
we were,
I'll be there.
we were thinking about doing was asking the interns to come as well.
Mhm,
You know,
mhm.
so
Yeah.
maybe they take that Friday off and then come on the Sunday,
Saturday.
or Saturday. We've been very adamant about having them be involved in all of the meetings and all the discussions we've had with city, park district, superintendents, or residents, whoever, whatever, because we, you know, as an educational component, we want them to understand what it takes to run an organization like this. So we've had them involved in virtually every conversation we've had with almost everybody. And I view this as being another, you know, possibility for them to have a really good experience and.
Talk to residents and,
Right.
sure,
I mean, they don't have to stay the entire time, but even if they came for like 4 hours,
right. And if-
I think that would be good for them. So, if anybody's not opposed to that, I mean, I think we should ask them to do that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely.
In terms of the booth and the decorations, Jill, we came up with a list based on what we didn't bring to Community Day. You still have that? I know there was the herbicide signs, all of our
right.
warning signs.
In our journal, copies of the
print
journal,
out
Copies of the
journals.
journal, the brochure.
the brochure, which is,
I'll take care of the
Great.
plants.
mhm.
The laptop again.
We're doing the laptops so people could sign up right on the spot, but are we doing the same six-pack of plants giveaway? this
I
year?
have to review the inventory.
Okay, because I would need to change all of that.
Yeah, that's
text,
still
so
time for that.
That's important.
Do you think we should have maybe some of the tools we use, because if people are thinking of volunteering, they know what's involved?
Yeah, sure.
Sure, any props, any kind of things.
What about your decorations issue?
Leave all that by your
I
house.
think it's, we use it again?
Absolutely, yeah.
We need one of your Volkswagen Beetles, though.
We can arrange that.
Anything else? You guys, any other ideas?
It was really successful last year, so
Mhm.
I think, with those little additions that you just mentioned, repeat performance would be.
Okay.
Great.
Do we have a banner? I have the sign from the Community Day, because I didn't know they were collecting them, so I just took it with me. But it's red. And I don't know.
Do you make signs for the
No.
individual things, or no?
No, they didn't last, year. I don't think, no. Remember last year we were,
There's just a sign on the table to tell you which table's yours, but no.
right,
Yeah, okay.
so that's an idea. Yeah, it would be nice.
Let's use that banner from Community Day,
Can we though? Whose
and then we'll
banner
give
is
it
it?
back to the city.
Whose is it? Is it the city's?
I
It's the
think it
cities.
is.
At
Community Day?
Community Day, we got this big
Oh,
sign.
it's red?
It's red, and it says.
I have it in my trunk of my car.
Natural Resources
Bring it.
Commission. So we'll just,
Somebody made it.
Somebody gave it,
yeah, so we'll give it back to them at the end of the day. But we'll keep.
should we ask though?
No,
Yeah,
Just give it back.
Right.
Just give it back, okay.
we'll give it back. All right,
All right,
all right, awesome, okay.
great. Any new ideas, we can always email.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should have some books available too, because I have a few on the prairie.
Oh, yes, I'll bring the flora, for sure,
Yeah.
the new flora and some plant ID books and just things to kind of show off what we do. Mhm. Great.
Too bad if we had some pictures of birds from the
Oh.
bird walks, because
Okay.
that will promote the Nature Speaks programs. Well, actually, the
We could make a couple of
I've
those.
got a lot of photos I could probably
Ooh.
print out,
Mm,
yeah.
We could put it on one of those platforms or, those stand-up.
I can make some kind of presentation out of it, sure.
Mhm.
That's easy enough.
Yeah, that'd be great. The more the better, I think.
Mm-hmm.
More things to look at, more things to talk about.
Also, I completely, totally forgot,
I saw that.
as part of the things we were looking at promotional giveaways at the block party, I got phenomenal prices on NRC magnets.
Oh,
our
great.
magnets. I was just gonna look and see what the price was, but they were just, it was like a couple of bucks a piece, maybe even less than that. So it just depends on, it's quantity driven. This is our next door neighbor at work, and we do a lot of favors for them, so he's doing a big, huge favor for us.
Is that in our budget?
We have promotional items in our budget. I don't
Okay.
have it with me, so.
Okay, but there it is.
Yeah, so I think that could be a real good
Mhm.
potential giveaway there. So they're like 5-inch diameter, just the logo, so. I will follow up on that and then copy everybody.
Yeah, any other ideas for that, too? Good. Okay. Anything else? Mm-mm. Okay. Should we move along then to Page NRC projects update?
That's you.
Okay, so just one by one about, well, I guess I can go through each one individually.
Mhm.
Okay, so the ComEd prairie, the seeded prairie, is doing well. It's not as perfect as maybe it should be, but a lot of native plants are coming up. We have non-native grasses that we have to address this summer with the interns, but we have just a flush of penstemon this year. So now that it's in its third year, it's finally flowering. It took 3 years for that to happen. There's just a lot of things coming up. Recently, we herbicided all the invasive thistle and teasel. It's all gone. Peter, thank you so much. You did so much of that. And then
Still have more on the,
I got the rest.
oh, good,
Yeah,
good.
I've been out
The
there.
east side, good,
Yeah, I got it all.
great.
A lot of red-winged blackbirds attacking you while you're out
Yeah,
there.
I
They're
noticed
nesting
that.
everywhere. I don't know, do you want to say anything about it?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing, and it, all that's in the report that we put together for the council, what we're seeing, because it's in the third year, that we're seeing the early successional disturbance weeds are starting to go away. And they've been sort of supplanted by Eurasian grasses, which is a much better problem to have.
I guess.
And so what we've concentrated on now for the last, well, since Jeremy started, was going out and whacking the seed heads on the Eurasian grass so that they don't have a chance to flower and seed, and then continue to build on the problem. In the process of doing that, we're seeing that there's a tremendous amount of native plants that are actually right there competing. And that part is really, really encouraging. The other really terrific event that's happened there is, that if you recall, on that East Prairie, that whole section there was just one giant bed of clover.
Yeah.
And probably 65 to 70% of that
It's changed.
is gone. It is
a lot of
just
change.
completely gone. If you remember, we translined right down the middle, and then once it all died, we seeded heavily with that Fermilab mix, which was forbs and native grasses. So that stuff has come in. We left the 2 side panels as test sites to,
We seeded the west side, we didn't seed the
Right.
east side. Mhm.
Right.
That's where the difference
and
comes
so
from.
there's a difference there now, which we can start to look at. And then what we've been doing is whacking the clover heads, as their flowers, just taking them out, so they don't have a chance to go to seed. And I think just the progression
just
of doing that, I mean, at
continuous,
some point
uh-huh.
in time, Agnes may decide to herbicide the whole thing, but
No,
want to see what the world
no, you mean
No,
like
the
start
clover.
over?
No,
No,
the
oh, the
clover.
clover, yeah.
that's
okay.
in those 2 outside panels. If we can't control it and get rid of it by just the succession of the native plants and, continually whacking the seed head so that they don't have a chance to repropagate, so.
There doesn't seem to be a lot of that clover at all.
No, not at all.
It's really gone away.
But also, there's a lot of, there's just not many conservative species yet, but it's
No.
only the 3rd year, too. So I think it would significantly help for ComEd to burn, and then
Oh,
we could
yeah.
put down more seed.
Yeah.
That we collect. That would be
Yeah,
ideal.
That would be, I mean, that's the.
The ideal situation.
So we really, really have to try to make that happen this fall.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah. But the west side looks great, except for that part that was mowed. That doesn't.
Want me to talk about Morava?
Sure, yes.
All right, so we were out at Morava last night, and I had a chance to go through that pretty thoroughly. I cut the path in the seeded prairie area where
Like, no, Savannah.
we put down that tons of seed last fall. That whole mix is basically a lot of native plants, but there's also some successional weeds that are starting to come in because that's essentially first year. But there are more natives than there are weeds in that area, which is really encouraging.
We heavily overseeded.
Right, we did. The area by the bleachers is absolutely pristine. I mean, that is just pure native plants. There is not even a weed in there. So that's a real good example to point people to say, when this is mature, this is what you're going to get. There's not a lot of maintenance. It doesn't need to be watered. They're deep-rooted native plants, and that's what this is all about. So that's one of the sort of showcase areas, along with, at the slough, the Isaac Walton sign is another classic example of a restoration that's really, really getting mature.
That was, the reason it came in so quickly is that was completely plugged. So that was not seeded. So you can do areas like that, but you can't do 5 acres like that. You can do, it's a lot of work, so you have a small section, an area where you can do that, and it comes in, then the very next year it's beautiful. When you have a very large area, it requires different management techniques, and you can't put plant plugs over 5 acres. It would take forever.
I had a chance to examine the work we did with erosion control on the creek, and on the low side of the creek, that's done very, very well. Those plants have really taken off, and you can see that they're already starting to have an effect on that side. On the tall bank, where we plugged into that wall, it's a mixed bag of things. A lot of it worked, but a lot of it just for whatever reason, it died, or it
Died or washed away.
washed
or-
away, so we.
I mean,
need
it
to
was
go-
a tough call,
yeah,
you
we
know,
need
it's
to
a
go
very
back and
steep bank.
reevaluate
And
that.
without regrading it, it's tough,
We need to go back and reevaluate that and decide if we want to try to do something else there, so.
yeah.
Did we have
I-
we didn't put down did we put down the?
Erosion
We
management
didn't
plan?
put the
didn't.
erosion
No, we
control,
didn't.
no, there, that's a thought,
That might be a real
but it's
good
such a
idea.
steep bank.
I know.
And then maybe using different, I was thinking maybe using like very aggressive prairie grasses, like switchgrass and prairie cordgrass. Like those grasses that are sort of the most aggressive, really strongly deep
Are we
rooted.
taking pictures of that area to
Yes.
kind of do comparisons?
Yeah.
Because maybe we're missing something, maybe just, you know, with all the heavy rains we got at the beginning of April, you know, you
Yeah,
never know.
Yeah,
But a
we
lot
take photos.
survived.
Every time we go out, we take photos.
a lot, and especially all of the areas that were not on a steep slope, that's all going great,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, on the high bank, there are areas that are doing extremely well. And so something made those do really well. It could be just the soil, you know, it's hard to say. It's something we really need to.
Yeah,
really
just take a
hard
look at.
Just put on the waders, get in the creek and really examine the whole thing, and then try something different.
Try something different. I mean, grading a slope is very expensive, and so it's, I mean, that would be the ideal, but that's,
It's such a steep slope, too.
it's very
Mhm.
steep.
Yeah.
On the lower section, in the woodland area of the lower section, there's a lot of successional weeds that are coming in, and the same, in the upper section in the woodland area there too. They're different, though. They're different weeds in the upper section than they are in the lower one.
The soil is different.
Yeah,
too.
the soil's different, and it's,
Completely.
what we see in the upper section is more akin to what we see at the slough in the woodland area there, whereas the lower section, it's like, more like garlic mustard and.
It seems to be less degraded.
yeah,
It seems like
honey-
it might be,
honeywort and-
like this, there was less soil disturbance there.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
So, two very different things. We need to get over there and do a lot of work.
Mhm. This
And
summer.
So the next workday or two is going to be focused on Morales. The slough, the burn, the effects of the burn, I think, are pretty obvious and really encouraging.
Mhm.
The one thing that's really tremendous development over there is all of the woodland fescue and the bottle brush grass, all those grasses that we planted in the woodland area that didn't burn this year because there was not enough fuel to carry through in the spring. The fall, it's going to be absolutely perfect to burn. I mean, that stuff is really taken over in there, and there's a lot of
But-
fuel.
But the large shrub, when there's large areas of buckthorn that have regrown, and I was hoping that they would burn, but they didn't, the burn's not gonna carry through. So the larger, the resprouts of buckthorn will be fine, will be taken care of by the burn, but the larger shrubs won't, so we have to really focus on removing that this summer, the interns too, so that
Well,
the.
the best way to take care of those buckthorn resprouts is to burn it.
Mm-hmm, especially the small, the young ones,
Like
small
they're like this
diameter,
big-
yes,
Yeah, or,
yes. They're so
I hate it.
difficult. Me too.
okay.
Yeah, because otherwise you waste so much resources and energy
Yeah.
and herbicide, you end up killing other things, it's just, or pulling, or volunteer resources, it's just, it's a lot of work.
Sure.
There's, 50 years of seed, of buckthorn seed in there, they're gonna be coming up, but if you can burn them off, they're done, they're gone. It's just those large shrubs, like if you recall the big dogwood area that we have, the fire just went right up to it and stopped.
Right.
It's not gonna cross over a big shrub, but if you have little seedlings, it'll just take them out.
I learned a painful buckthorn lesson at my own house, because I took down a ton of buckthorn and the stuff fell, and it sat there for a couple of weeks before I was able to have the time to get rid of it. Anyway, it dropped a bunch of seed, and it's just growing like crazy now.
Yeah,
So it's a
I know,
nightmare.
I know,
It's fun.
it's tough, it's fun.
So there's a lot of work to do at the slough as well. But I think this fall, when we actually burn in the woodland area, it's going to be just really terrific. I think we'll finally be able to get the fire through there and make great progress into bringing that area of the slough up to what the rest of it is as you go further north. The plantings are doing spectacular. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I think one thing is we don't have a lot of early spring species, and so things are starting to happen right now. But in May and June, really basically just the geraniums. We have a couple of shooting stars, a little bit of phlox, and so what I've been focusing on is making sure to collect the seeds of those plants, so that, you know, starting in May, things are happening. Things are beautiful. You're not waiting until June, July. But those are really difficult to collect, so we've been bonneting them. And I hope to grow some of them, like the wild hyacinths and things that come in earlier, and early prairie species too.
The last thing to update is Heron Pond. We went over there and took a look at the erosion blankets, made it through the winter. They're all in great shape. Things are coming up through the erosion blankets the way they're supposed to, so it's just going to be a matter of monitoring what comes up, and if it's invasive, whack it, and if it's not, then hallelujah.
And all of the removal of the buckthorn and the honeysuckle that the park district did, the company doesn't herbicide afterwards, so basically it all flushes back. But Peter and I went out there, and Jeremy with the brush cutter got a lot of it, and then we herbicided a lot of those resprouts so they don't just come right back.
Okay, that's it for projects. The bird walks, the spring bird walks were great. Mary Lou and Lee are just really fantastic people, and they've agreed to do the fall bird walks on September 9th and the 23rd. So mark those down. We're seeing a lot, I mean, it's interesting. As part of the monitoring process, you're always looking at what's there. And so this year, we have seen insects we have never seen at the slough, ever. Just, they're
In my life,
insane.
I've never seen that.
A turtle beetle.
Tortoise beetle.
A crane fly, a phantom crane fly. I mean, these things are just, man, they're like Martians, and you've never seen them before. It's really encouraging. We're also seeing
A lot of birds.
a lot of birds and a lot of different things. We had a hooded warbler a couple days ago, which is just completely unheard of. I've got a good picture.
Mary
of
Lou
that.
had only seen it in her life a couple of times, so she was very excited.
Needless to say. So, if you're monitoring those things to gauge how your restoration is going, it would appear that the indicators are that it's moving in the right direction. So that's
And
encouraging.
you see people out there all the time with cameras and binoculars, so a lot more than used to.
Back to the status, I'm sorry, project updates too. We need to point out that the nature trail is now complete, going from approximately 105 Hillside all the way around through Isaac Walton Park, all the way to where Marion and Maple transition into each other. So the whole thing is now walkable, it's cleared out.
There's
It's wide
still
open.
sometimes some stumps and some fallen debris, so you just have to be careful, but we'll be working on
It's
it over
much
the
better than
summer.
it was. There's one big tree laying down.
I know.
Yeah, I've got a person with a chainsaw that hasn't been able to get to it yet, so,
I can take care of it if you want. Yeah.
yes, please.
All right.
Yeah, but I've seen many people use that trail. It's very nice. Even,
It's nice. It's, I know the work done recently has really improved it a lot.
Going back to the trail markers, can I ask you, Christina, do we know anything more about the resolution of that? For the trails, the nature trails?
It goes along with the signage. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
It goes along with the signage.
All right, so have we progressed towards the point where we can order trail markers so we can get those out? I mean, a lot of people don't, yeah, there were just those little 4x6 signs that says, Slough Trail or whatever it said.
or just trail.
Well, that's what we need to figure out what they're gonna say.
Right, okay.
We've talked about Morales now.
Right.
They could just say trail.
It could just say nature
Yeah,
trail
like nature trail,
or something
or
like
just
that.
trail.
What do we need to repropose it?
Better than Monday afternoon,
Yes,
Sure,
yeah, okay,
afternoon, like after,
sure.
how's that?
anytime.
We're off all week next week, so. Okay.
PHNRC status report.
All right, so you guys all got a copy of the status report of the projects. This is,
John, did you get a chance?
Yep.
For us?
Yep.
this is what we're intending to submit to City Council as requested by Joe Wade as an update on all the projects. This is what we put together, and we've already gotten Jill's typos and grammar corrections, and those will be incorporated. Does anyone have anything to say about the content? Any changes you want to make there?
How are you giving this report to the council? Are we
As
attending
a
a meeting?
PDF?
Oh, just as a PDF?
Yeah, I'm
We
just
don't
gonna
have to
email
be
it to
present?
them. No.
Okay.
No, I mean, we're so busy at this point, it's just, and that was my point to Joe, is, come on, we just don't have time to make a presentation. So in lieu of that, it was that we would craft a written statement and then pass it on to Joe. So that's what this document represents.
I think it's a good summary of the areas, and I think it's a good length. You don't want it too short, and you don't want it too long. People want to, you want people to read it, and I think you're concise, and it's, I don't know, it gives a good overall progress report.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's good.
That's-
All right, then I'll go ahead and make the corrections to that Jill came up with. Correct the file, and then I'll re-PDF it and send it on to Joe and copy everybody as well. Christine, I'll copy you on that, and Peter, you as well. Okay?
I like all of the detail that you've given. You know, what was there, what we've done, and what's showing right now. You give numbers, you give figures. It's a good report.
I also referenced it back to the management plans that were in the original 2016 presentation. And I referenced the appendix where each of those documents can be found. So that would give you the guidelines on the restoration techniques and all the rest of that. That is on our website, Peter, if you guys still don't have it. If you go to presentations, that 2016 report is there, and all of the appendixes are attached to the report.
Fourth of July parade.
John?
You have to have a car for that, don't you?
Yeah, we do. There's a potential college visit I might be out of town for, but July 4th, there's probably a better chance that I'll be in town. So we can certainly use my vehicle to use in the parade. It's a crowd favorite. I've been in other parades with it before, and
Which one is it?
it's the old VW microbus, 1965.
The one that you brought to the block party last year?
Yeah,
The cream-colored one?
yeah.
Oh,
So, it always gets a lot of attention and stuff, so if we want to put anything on the side of it, people will read it, they'll see it.
We'll have the next, but-
Yeah, we can get a big logo for us. The color scheme is perfect for it.
Who else can participate in that event?
I'll try.
I'm
Okay.
available, Peter.
Yeah, I don't know.
What
Okay.
day is it?
Kind of far in advance.
Is it on
It's
the 4th?
Tuesday, the 4th.
All right.
At 10:30.
Please arrive by 9:30. The parade starts at 10:30 and concludes at 11:15 at the Hebron Presbyterian Church on Schoenbeck, and they're also going to serve lunch.
Where does it start?
St. Alphonsus parking
Okay.
lot this year, first time.
Where do you get a copy of that?
It was right upstairs
Oh.
in the foyer. But you can take my copy.
I'll get one on the way out.
Okay.
John, you need help decorating the bus before we,
There's not much to be done with it, really, but not so much. We'll see when the time comes.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have plenty of time. We have to respond, though, that we want to be in the parade.
Yes.
So we do all want to be in the
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll parade it.
All right, Jill, can you respond and let them know we're going to do it?
Sure.
All right. Thank you.
I forwarded the email.
Oh, I've got Karen's name. She works
Yes.
for Peter.
Mhm.
One thing about using a old VW microbus is there is an image that's connected with it of hippiness. And so one thing to consider is if you want that connected with the Prospect Heights Natural Resources Commission. It's not that we're all a bunch of hippies, but some people, they just make a connection like that. We used it for the Indian Guides scouting thing, and there was no problem with that. I mean, people just more appreciated the antique vehicle rather than,
The association.
yeah, you know, it wasn't like the Grateful Dead thing or something. But it's something to consider. There is an image thing with it, so
I have no problem with that image.
if anybody has a conflict or, okay.
I'm good with it.
Christina, you want to ride along with us?
Okay,
Should we dress a particular way? You want us to dress?
tie-dye.
No,
Start growing a beard.
Actually, I think it would be for the commission members, maybe if we all had a shirt with a logo on it or something that recognizes us as part of this organization. It looks a little more organized when you're out there walking a bunch of people down the street. It might be something to consider.
Okay,
all right.
I can,
Put it on the list.
I can talk to my guy about maybe doing something for us.
I will run it by everybody
Sure, that's
before
fine.
anything happens.
Okay.
Are we going to be in the bus or walking alongside the bus? How are we doing that?
There's always someone walking. beside
Probably,
us.
well, I'll certainly be driving it, but people walking in front and behind it, and, you know, throwing out the candy is always a favorite too, but,
Brochures.
and brochures and cards and things like that. So walkers are definitely
Okay.
the way to go. When you're in the bus, no one's going to see you.
Okay.
Journal, the last one just came out. We're working on the June one right now. Finally getting back to the next chapter of Dr. Hilty. So that will be in there. We'll be doing a story on the two kids projects, and another episode of the interns, and then what other sorted sundries just surface. If any of you have any articles you'd like to
Well,
contribute.
we were going to talk about that.
Absolutely, yes.
I think that you should, if you want to think of the outline and share it with us and then have us say, okay, I can do this
Right.
this time, or if we have any ideas. But I
Right.
think we should spread the,
Yeah, that was my intention, was trying to come up with the topics, put it in writing and send it out, and then if you have any quotes that you can make about that topic that I could use to incorporate, that would be great. So,
But also any article, like if
any articles you're
anybody wants to
willing
write an article,
Absolutely.
anything
I've
at
been
all.
meaning to do like a book review or something, and I just haven't gotten to it. There's a lot of good reads out there that are nature-minded, and I apologize, I
all right.
haven't been able to generate those, but hats off to you, Dana. That journal
Yes.
is fantastic, and it's always a pleasure to read it when it comes out.
Yes.
I very much enjoy it. It's very well
We're
done.
really piling up on the archive, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe we've been doing it that long. Well, thank you. I don't think we need to update Nature Speaks because we just went through that, so I think we're at visitor comments, right? Visitors? Comments?
Anybody else? Have anything else to say?
I motion to adjourn.
okay?
I second it.
Great.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
All right.
Very good.